Welcome back in, Detroit Lions fans. Sunday, it's rainy. It's been a nasty, nasty little Sunday. Poor Will is just soaked from head to toe, sitting outside watching baseball. All of a sudden, they play baseball in the rain around here. I don't know. It's just a grind. But yesterday, we showed you guys a little preview of our members giveaway. This little sexy Hutch helmet here with the nice autograph right there. We have added six new members from yesterday's show. Wade Taylor, Ovaries, I think that's how you say that. Ray Gates, Todd Snip, Greg Kellogg, and Ledrecki. I'm not sure if I'm getting all those pronunciations right, but 6 new members. Once we hit 100, that helmet's going to find a new home. It's going to find a nice, pretty home. We're going to get that shipped out. We're at 84. We're 16 away. Can we do it in this episode? That's a challenge. That's up to you guys to decide, but I want this helmet to find a new home. It's pretty. I like looking at it, but I'd like for it to go somewhere else, Will.
Steve,
William.
Did you say we added ovaries?
Oh, Ovres. I don't know how that's pronounced. I got to be very careful. I don't know. I know there's an I in ovaries, but we're really flirting with it, so I'm not sure.
What type of show are we running? What's going on at Detroit Dead 313?
What do we got today?
Listen, today we're going to be talking about a debate, and I love to debate. I love banter. What rookie, Steve, is going to make the biggest impact 2025 season? What rookie is it gonna be that is gonna be taking that alpha lead role? Because I don't know that Talik Williams is a no-brainer here. So I guess, Steve, we want to kick this thing right off because people already hit the subscribe button. That's not even something that we need to say anymore, right? Who is it for you? Who do you think is going to be the lead dog out of this group? I'm looking at, as I have them right here, Talik Williams, Tate Ratledge, Isaac Tesla, respect. Hopefully we're good there. Miles Frazier, Ahmed Hassanin, Dan Jackson, and Dominique Lovett. Who's the guy there that's going to be making that biggest impact?
Well, I don't think there's going to be a debate because I think there's a couple right answers, but for me, it's without a doubt. It's without a doubt, Will. Like, I don't even know what the debate would be. Like, Tyleek Williams wasn't even on my radar as most impactful. Mr. Isaac Tesla is going to be the biggest impact on this team.
You don't mean it.
I 100% mean it. I 100% mean it. I think he's going to be just an absolute problem starting in training camp. Like, I think our own guys are going to have a tough time matching up against him. When I look at little 5'5" DJ Reed and little 5'5" Amik Robertson, how are they going to guard 6'4" Isaac Tesla? Who's going to step up and guard him on our own squad? So I can't even imagine when we start putting him out there against some other talent on some other teams, how they're going to do against them, because I love our secondary. I love our corners. They're junkyard dogs. But I've said that my biggest complaint is, how are they going to body up a big receiver? They're going to be biting off a big mouthful. Well, it's going to be tough to chew. So I think his skill set is better than Tim Patrick. So I think he's going to get on the field. I think Tim Patrick has a niche on this team. I don't know exactly what it's going to be, but it's going to be changing, because when I look at Tesla, 6'4", 44.4 speed, hands that just catch everything, this kid's going to be special. He's going to be the biggest impact for the Detroit Lions. Now, again, there's other guys that we've drafted that are going to be impact players, but an impact wide receiver from Michigan kid, it's a no-brainer for me, Will. It's just an absolute no-brainer that he's going to just be a matchup nightmare.
Steve,
tell me I'm nuts.
I'm going to give you an out here. I'm going to give you an out. Are you doing this for the sake of content right now?
No,
we don't need to do that at Detroit 313. You've never done it before. Never have you ever done it. So I need to know. If you're doing it for content, just give me 2 quick blanks right now, so I know, so I don't even have to say that.
Eyes wide open, Will.
in that case, Steve,
I'm not nuts.
Are you nuts right now? Have you lost your mind? Have you lost your mind? Listen, no disrespect to Mr. Tesla. No disrespect. I like the kid. I love the kid's story. I love the wearing the jersey to the top 30 visit. I love the work ethic. I love the way that Brad Holmes romanticized getting him into the building, his favorite receiver in the whole draft. All of those things. Hillsdale to Arkansas to the Detroit Lions, Michigan guy. I love it all. I love it all. But I also love Ahmed Hassani. That doesn't mean that I'm going to sit here and say in front of thousands of viewers, right, that he's going to be the biggest impact. So that leads me to believe there's only one thing going on. So I'm going to take out my little phone here. And I'm going to dial 911 because my assumption is that some of Isaac Tesla's boys have you held hostage right now. So guys, if you could send somebody over, I'm not going to put Steve's address live, but I'll text you guys the address. I need a wellness check immediately because Steve has lost his mind. Listen, there is a no-brainer answer here.
Yeah, I just gave it. I know.
No, you did not. No, you did not. No, you did not. Mr. Tesla is going to make an impact on this team. I think that he's going to make an impact early. I think he's going to make an impact reasonably for a rookie often. I think once he finds his niche with Jared Goff, they get their rhythm, whether it's through camp or whether it's through the season, I think he will make some plays. But I don't know that he'll be the second biggest impact, let alone the first. He'll be fighting for the third. Don't let Hassanin catch on. He'll be fighting for the third or the fourth, in my opinion. Mr. Tesla, there's only so many footballs to go around, Steve. Amon-Ra St. Brown's, he's got to get his footballs. J-Mo's got to get his footballs. We're going to have to hand it to David Montgomery. We're going to have to hand it to Jahmyr Gibbs. We got to throw this thing to Sam Laporta. I mean, what are we doing here? Khalif still wants to get a couple of footballs as well.
He will on punt return. He'll get a couple footballs on punt return because our defense is going to be shutting down. He'll get his punt and kick return footballs.
Steve, you've lost your mind. I don't know if the lack of sleep is getting to you.
Let me just say this. Mr. Tesla is used to not getting a football because he comes from a shitty Arkansas offense. He knows what not getting a football can do. It can still get you drafted. All right. You can't go duck hunting and not have a couple decoys. At the very least, that's what Tesla can be, is a guy who's demanding a little bit of a couple extra sets of eyes looking at him in that secondary for the opposing team. And then who's going to be streaking open? All those guys you just mentioned. Well, that's an impact. You can impact a football game without touching a football, correct? It's a team game. There's 11 guys on offense, 11 guys on defense.
1,000%.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, you can have an impact. It's kind of like what they say about basketball players. How well does he move without the ball? What does he do when the ball's not in his hands? That's an impact.
I don't even think that he's in the scouting report quite yet, but I will say
more of an impact.
You gave me heart. You seriously gave me heart palpitations because I thought that you were about to say that people were game planning for him. I thought you were about to say that Amon-Ra St. Brown and J-Mo were decoy. I thought that's the route you were going, and I was like, oh, yeah, I gotta calm down for
maybe one day. Maybe just one day.
I don't know. I don't know about that. I think we got to pump the brakes on Mr. Tesla. If he's number 3, he'll be doing some darn good stuff. And this is no disrespect to him. And please, I hope that I'm wrong. Not because of the other 2 guys that I'm thinking about are bad, but if he's just that good, then so be it, man. I don't want to be right, but I think that we might be in a world where Dan Jackson might make more of an impact because he's getting on special teams and going absolutely bananas. Like, what are we talking about? Like, this is a guy who could be special, 4.4 speed that's going to go out there and just be thumping around and making plays. But he's not the guy that I want to talk about, Steve. He's not the guy that I want to talk about. And Talik Williams, he's a guy that really excites me, but he's not the one that I want to talk about either. And if we're talking about the person who is going to make the biggest impact out of this rookie group, there's only one. There's only one guy that you need to talk about. And it is Tate Ratledge.
Yeah, what a shocker.
Listen.
Here's my shocked face.
Let me get that mullet out. Let me get my mullet. Let me get my mullet flowing. That young man is gonna be mauling people. Him, Christian Mahogany, they're gonna be fighting guys like Graham Glasgow off of the field. They're gonna let Graham just prolong his career and be a backup center and backup guard for, I don't know, the next 2-3 Zeitler worth of seasons, right? He's good there. Next thing you know, Graham's going to be 40 years old, still playing, getting those backup checks, because those 2 guys, right, are going to be staples in this offensive line. and Tate, the mustache, the mullet, it's going to be a thing. You mentioned it the other day, mullet cam. The mullet cam is going to be rocking. He's going to be running people off with a football. He's going to be pancaking people. He's going to have Motown mullet commercials. I can see the lights. I can see the cameras now, like all pro Tate Rutledge and Panay Sewell and Frank Ragnow and Christian Mahogany. Man, what are we talking about? And Taylor Decker. But what are we talking about? Maybe we get Miles Frazier in the mix in a few years. Listen, Tate Rutledge solidifying this offensive line this season coming up is going to be the biggest impact because we're going to be watching Jared Goff throw for 3 million yards. We are going to be watching Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, both rushing for 1.5 million yards. We are going to be listening to the NFL talk about how the Philadelphia Eagles no longer have the best offensive line in football. Now it's the Detroit Lions. Tate Rutledge is the key to that. For those reasons and more, that's the biggest impact player, Steve. So, I mean, do you even think it's close, or do you think that Isaac Tesla is just running away with this thing?
I think it's close. I'm more of a realistic than you are, but I'll say this. I think a lot of people are just writing off Graham Glasgow. I think a lot of people are just, putting him out to pasture a little early. And Graham didn't have the best season last year, but I think he was hurt. And he's never going to come out and say that, but he's a veteran. He's been around for like over 10 years, like drafted by the Lions, moved on to the Broncos, came back to the Lions. Like he's been around a little bit, played some hard games in Michigan. Like he's been battle tested. But I think a lot of people are just saying Graham Glasgow, it's just a foregone conclusion that he's just not going to be the guy. And I'll say that the betting favorite, if I had to choose today, Tate Ratledge does end up taking his job. But when? Is it week 1? Is it week 4? Does it have to involve Graham getting some type of injury and keeping him out and then getting his way back onto the football field? Is going to be an uphill battle for him. I just don't know what the route is going to be, but I do think Tate Ratledge at some point in 2025 will be the starting guard. All right. And that's fine, because then you could just take Graham and say, hey, man, Frank, he's known to miss a game or two. We'll keep you fresh. When that happens, you go in, play center. Like he's just a versatile. Graham Glasgow was my MVP a couple years ago because he played every position on that offensive line. I think he even came in a snap or two at left tackle when Taylor Decker went out. I think it was last year. And I think they ended up bringing in Skip. And I want to say it was the Houston game off the top of my head. I could be wrong about that, but Graham's just he's a warrior, man. Like I don't think he gets enough praise. And I think myself included, I said this after draft night, like Graham Glasgow's days are probably numbered because Tate Ratledge is going to come for that job. But when I look at the matchups and who they're going to be battling with, I look at Isaac Tesla battling Tim Patrick. I think Tesla's better. Like I do think he beats him out in training camp if they both stay healthy. When I look at Rutledge versus Graham Glasgow, I think that battle's just going to take a little bit longer to decide who's going to be the starter.
I think that you're on to something.
I'm always on to something. Well, that's what I do.
I'm not going to go that far, but you're on to something right now. And I will say that I'm not writing off Graham Glasgow by any means. I think that we could easily see maybe Graham Glasgow starting the beginning of the season. I think that if the veteran wants to be the starter, and I'm not going to say that he doesn't want to, but if he is hungry to be the guy, if that's where he feels like he still is at this stage of his career, I think he definitely gets the initial reps, and then Tate's got to come in and earn the job from him. But when I look at it from a longevity standpoint and having a veteran presence and having a guy who could step in for Frank Ragnow if Frank Ragnow needs time away, from the game, whether it's a week here, a week there, whether it's just reps during camp, whatever the case may be. I love the idea of Graham Glasgow being plug and play at any of those positions in the interior, center, either guard position. I think Graham Glasgow steps in and you don't miss a beat, right? And you might be better, right? But Father Time is undefeated. When you get into the abuse of an NFL season, the grind of an NFL season, I think that youth is something that I would be looking to. And if it's close, or even if Tate is slightly behind the skill set of Graham Glasgow currently, I think you go with him so he can start to get that experience and he can start to get prepared for the long haul. Because whether he's better than Graham right now or not, Tate's the future. He's the future. Graham is a guy, as we say, he's on that back nine. He's on that back nine of the career. I think a great way to make that career a little bit longer would be to get him to where you're minimizing his reps. You get him in a backup role, and maybe you get him in the football games. You sneak him in for some reps here and there. Maybe you monitor the snaps of Frank Ragnow, who is also it's not like he's the oldest guy, but we talk about that toe issue that he has going on that you can't fix it. It kind of is what it is. It's going to be there. It's never going to get better. Maybe you can minimize his reps. Maybe you can have him a little bit fresher for the second half of the season. It's for those reasons. No disrespect to Graham Glasgow. I respected Graham Glasgow's game last year, even though he didn't have his best season, just because I felt like in the moments where we really needed him, he still showed up. And I think that's who he's going to be moving forward. If he gets an opportunity to get 100% healthy, and I know that you're never NFL, you get to week 4, 5, 6, and you're always banged up. You're never going to be 100%. But if he gets to a position where he's not so banged up that it's really impacting his game and he can get settled back in, I think Graham's going to be just fine, man. But it's just a matter of how long. Does he have 2 seasons left, 3 seasons left, 1 season left? What's that look like? I think if you're asking him to play 6, 7, 8 games, I think that he has years of that left. If you're asking him to play 17 weeks and then make a playoff run, I think he might have short time left. So for those reasons, man, it's Tate for me. When I think about this defensive line is deep with guys who can play defensive tackle, especially when we get a lean back. Now, can they do it at an impact level? That's up for debate. But Roy Lopez, serviceable. DJ Reader, he's a dog. You know, when we get a lean back, we already know what that is. So when I think about Talik, I think he's going to be a beast. But is he going to make the impact of somebody who could potentially be starting week 1, week 2, week 3, and be taking that job for the next decade? Because I don't know what the Talik Williams situation looks like if Aleem and DJ Reader are healthy. Is Talik Williams the guy? Is he on the field? Is it automatic? Or I don't think that he's keeping Aleem off the field. So then is the conversation, is he keeping DJ Reader off the field? I can't just say that he would keep DJ Reader off of the field. So can I say that a rotational piece is more impactful than a guy that's starting every down at guard? Because I kind of see Tate potentially being the starting guard. It's just what makes sense to me. Like I said, even if we're ranking Graham Glasgow as a 90 and we're ranking Tate Ratledge at 87, 85, you put that young guy out there, you let him build up his skills and get those reps. And then when you get to that back nine of this season, maybe you throw Graham Glasgow in, you keep him fresh, older guy, ready to go when you need him and his numbers called when somebody gets banged up, because at some point we're going to need his veteran presence. Offensive lines just don't go all seasons without going through something. Hopefully it's not anything catastrophic, but I would have Graham Glasgow, on call, Steve. You know what I mean? We keep him on call.
Well, I mean, someone yesterday on our show said that they love the analogies that we put out there. Yesterday we did the cake, the ice cream. We're talking about, you can have all these ingredients, but if you're missing the chocolate, you don't have a chocolate cake. Well, I got a little baseball analogy. All right, let's imagine it's like Game 7 of the World Series, and you got a fireballer, a kid who can throw 100 miles an hour, but maybe he's a little wild. That's kind of Tate Ratledge. And Graham Glasgow to me is just that old Greg Maddux type pitcher. Just like he's not going to touch the radar gun as high. He might hit 92, but he's going to be living on the paint. Hard to hit. He's going to dial it up. Maybe he goes 7, 8 innings. Which one would you rather have? I think it's really just going to come down to who does Dan trust more, because we've got to have a conversation about, if we're talking offensive line, you got to have an episode where you're talking Jared Goff. Like, we've invested in this offensive line because of Jared Goff. So who do you trust more? It's probably Graham Glasgow, just because he's got experience on his side. All right. He's just the old wily veteran who just somehow knows how to get it done. But if he starts slipping, there's that fireballer back there, Tate Ratledge, who's ready to come in and just pour some gas on this thing and get it going. But let's just have do you want to have a little bit of an uncomfortable conversation, Will, because I've kind of had something on my mind since draft night, and I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. We are a channel that is not sponsored by anyone. We have we say whatever we want here, so I'm just gonna go say it. The NFL draft, I felt like, was handicapped to benefit Jared Goff. We had to go out and load up on offensive line because we have Jared Goff. I'm going to go ahead and say that. If we had a quarterback in our backfield that was a little bit more mobile and could move around a little bit, I don't think we'd be drafting double up offensive linemen in every draft. I know, Will, buckle up, put the shades on, but I've been thinking it since draft night, and probably a lot of people won't like that, but you have to ask yourself, would the Detroit Lions have doubled down on offensive linemen if it weren't for Jared Goff? Could we have got that edge rusher somewhere else, maybe a little sooner? But Brad Holmes has to know, hey, I got to take care of Jared Goff because he's my quarterback. I've committed to him. He's making $47 million a year. I have to invest draft capital into him. Like I said, William, it might be an uncomfortable question, but that's how I feel. I feel like maybe we could have gotten one of those edge rushers if it weren't for Jared Goff because we have to protect him.
Steve,
I'm not nuts. It's just uncomfortable, Will.
Do I have to tell the truth? Like, hey, listen, we haven't really talked about this like lately, really since the draft off of the show. So this is going to be raw. This is going to be, but we know how we feel, generally speaking. And
call me an idiot if you want. I don't care. But
Steve, there's nothing that you said was dumb. Nothing. Listen, you don't draft 27 offensive linemen if you don't need to protect a guy at a high level, right? This isn't a guy who you're expecting to extend plays with his feet. This isn't a guy that you're expecting to run you first downs and make those. They talked about with Jaden Daniels or Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen, just the ability to be able to just go get you 10 plays a game. Just go, I'm gonna get you a first down. I might extend a play. Like they talk about the Chicago Bears coach and what he had to say about the blessing of having a guy who could just make plays with his feet, extend plays and do special things with his feet. He's never had that. He regardless of if he had to say it or not, he wasn't lying about it.
He wasn't wrong. Yeah. I mean, I don't like how he said it. I don't like the way it was delivered, but when you sit back and think of the words, he's not wrong.
Yeah, he was not wrong. So, it definitely has to do with Jared Goff. I love Jared Goff, man, and I think that he's a sniper. I've said that here. I think that if he gets rolling, he's a guy that can be really special. Well, he's seen it. He's done it over and over again. I don't know, 30 receptions in a row, going games where he didn't have an incompletion. If the dude gets hot and he's got time, he's special. But if there's somebody in his face, it's a sack or an interception. It's just what it is. So I do find myself wondering, what does the Detroit Lions look like if over this span where we're beefing up this offensive line, we mess around and I won't turn this into a thing right now, but if Hendon Hooker is any good, this is year 3. If we find out Hendon Hooker is any good and he can extend plays, that could get interesting. Or if over this time where we're going through Jared Goff's contract, we get a quarterback in-house that can extend plays and manage a football game, what will that look like? But there's no question, Steve, what we did in this draft had everything to do with Jared Goff. And I agree, a lot of people aren't going to want to hear that. I'll be honest, I wouldn't have brought it up personally because I know some people are going to be, man, you hating on Jared Goff. Are you crazy? He's the best quarterback in the league. And look at these statistics. And he threw for this many yards and blah, blah, blah. Listen, when there's somebody chasing Jared Goff, when he gets the snap and somebody comes on block, that play is now dead or it's a turnover. It's the reality of the situation. He's either throwing it up for grabs, Houston Texans, Washington Commanders, or he's getting sacked. He's not a guy who's going to make a play when there's no play to be made. That's just not what Jared Goff is. There's not a bunch of those guys walk or running around the football league anymore. I'm not going to tell you that it's impossible, but oftentimes, Steve, and I want to know how you feel about this. Oftentimes, when I say that, people say, well, what about Tom Brady? Well, what about Peyton Manning? My
You're
immediate
talking about
response,
the two of the GOATs, like
exactly.
two of the best ever.
And we talk about what Jared Goff is and what Sean McVay said about him and his cognitive level, his football intelligence. Tom Brady, Peyton Manning were coming up to the line of scrimmage and they knew what the defense was doing. They knew. They were identifying what the coverage they were in, how they were rotating, when they were audibling. If you ever watch, I challenge you, they got it on YouTube, but ESPN used to have this show called Detail, and they would give you a little bit of the sauce too. But if you ever watched a cat and mouse game between Tom Brady and Ray Lewis or Peyton Manning and Ray Lewis, and they're just checking. Peyton Manning comes up and checks into something. Ray Lewis checks into something else. Peyton Manning checks into something else. Ray Lewis checks into something else. And they're just going back and forth playing chess. Jared Goff isn't doing a whole bunch of that. Right. And to me, that's the difference. Where they didn't have as much athleticism, they made up for it with this right here. And Jared Goff isn't an idiot by any means, but those are two guys who had a special level of football acumen, and they utilized that to beat the game of needing crazy athleticism. And I felt like people underrate both of those guys' ability to just leak over in the pocket this way because they see the blitzes coming from this side. Oh, I'm just going to leak over here because I know somebody is coming unblocked in the surface that I'm setting at the line of scrimmage. People underrate those. That is also extending a football play. I don't see Jared Goff extending a lot of football plays even like that. And for those reasons, I think that it is something that they had to address. And if you didn't, maybe you say, hey, maybe we do take a Mike Green right here. Maybe we do take a Donovan Izoroku right here, man, and not a Tate. You know what I mean? Not a Miles Frazier doubling down. You know what I mean? Maybe some different things happen in free agency when you're not making sure that you go get a Kevin Zeitler, you know what I mean, instead of spending some money on some other people, you know. So, Steve, I think you hit it on the head. And I hope people don't say really mean things to us.
That's all right if they do. I'll just say this, Will. Goff can't extend plays. He's not a mobile quarterback. He's not slippery. He's not avoiding any tackles. You're either getting a clean shot on him, or just sometimes the best play Jared Goff can do would be either just take a sack or throw the ball in the dirt. I saw that Washington game. He did neither. Like that 3rd and 1 where why we didn't run the ball, I don't know. That could have changed the trajectory of the whole game. Interception. I mean, he gave the Washington Commanders 5 extra possessions in a playoff game. That's a mountain that not many teams are going to be able to come back from. I know you're a Jared Goff. I don't know if you're a Jared Goff lover. I'm lukewarm. Like, I'm sorry, but I just look at last year. Like, what more could I have given him? You had a top 3 offensive line. You had a top 2 backfield. You had Amon-Ra St. Brown, all-pro, Jamison Williams over 1,000 yards on only 56 catches. You had a Sam Laporta. You had the hottest name for an offensive coordinator at the time in Ben Johnson, and you still didn't get the job done. So now we go into this year and we have to draft everything to fit Jared Goff. And I'm just thinking, like, what more do we have to give this guy to get the job done? And I don't know how this turned into a Jared Goff episode. It's kind of my fault, but I don't know. I just look at it and I think we keep drafting and trying to help Jared Goff, but we know what he is. Why are we not fixing a defense and making it just as elite as our offense? That's just my thought, my 2 cents. I know a lot of people won't agree with it. We're drafting back-to-back offensive linemen, and you know we got all these contingency plans. All those contingency plans are because of Jared Goff. Why? It's just stealing away from potentially making this defense even close to being elite would be phenomenal, but I don't know. Just my 2 cents. Well, it's been on my mind since draft day.
No, I get it, man, and I'm pretty much 100% with you. Maybe 99% with you. The 1% just being that the hope that I still have a hope that this defense is elite. I do. I still have a hope that they believe that this defense is elite the way that it is. That I think that they believe a little bit more in Hassani than they're leading on. I think Talik Williams is a problem. Aleem McNeil is obviously a problem. He's shown that. And we know what Aiden Hutchinson is. Jack Campbell, Alex Anzalone, Derek Barnes, Malcolm Rodriguez, Kirby Joseph, Brian Branch, DJ Reed, Amik Robertson, Terrion Arnold. The list goes on. This defense has some names. It has some guys that can play some doggone good football. Don't let Jack Campbell take another step forward. I don't know. Same thing with Derek Barnes too. I think Derek Barnes, he was just starting to get hot. He was starting to play some really good football, man. If he builds on where he was going, I think that he could be a special linebacker. By special, I mean a solid starter. I'm not saying he's going to be he's going to be an all pro or anything like that, but just a guy that you're not looking at out there as a liability. Sometimes I would look at Derek Barnes and I would say, man, he's a little bit of a liability in certain situations, whether it's passing situations where he gets locked up playing in zone coverage where he needs to bounce around, or if he gets manned up with a running back. Sometimes I just didn't like what I saw out of him. And then in the run game, sometimes I felt like he got a little bit too aggressive, man. But it seemed like the game really started to slow down for him when he got hurt, which is unfortunate. So hopefully he can build upon where he was. And if guys like Levi Onwuzurike hit the ground running with where they were at last year, and Phil Rose, Pascal get a little bit better. I like him in the interior more than I like him outside. Marcus Davenport stay healthy. Alquin Mohammed, let's continue what you were doing. Never want to see you be a starter again. No knock on you, but as a rotational piece, I would love to see you do the things that you were doing last year in moments. This thing could be special.
I'm trying to be nice today, Will. So you got anything else for tonight?
No, leave it in the comments. Let us know how you're feeling, man. Who's going to be your most impactful rookie this season? Steve said Isaac Tesla. I think he's absolutely out of his mind, but let me know how you're feeling. And then I'm going with Tate, man. No disrespect to Talik. I just feel like we have so much depth on that defensive line. It's going to be hard for him to make that big of an impact because he's still going to be fighting to keep guys off the field like Broderick Martin, man. So, I mean.
All right, I'm going to stick around, hit that like button. We'll be back later with another show.